early as Monday. I want to begin with the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, Democratic Congressman Adam Smith. Congressman, thank you. You just voted no against this bill. Senator Chuck Schumer said that it will be dead on arrival in the Senate. So are we just back at square one again?
It seems that way. To be technically accurate, I voted no on the previous question. The actual bill is coming up next. But yeah, no, look, I mean, Republicans refused to accept a deal that would have reopened TSA. We have a disagreement on how to do immigration enforcement in this country. We Democrats think that disagreement's pretty important after what happened in Minneapolis and elsewhere. 2 American citizens killed by ICE agents, warrantless searches, probable cause being ignored, due process being ignored, the rights of Americans being violated all across the country. But we are practical about it. We do not want to drag TSA or the Coast Guard or FEMA into this. We want to isolate the argument over ICE and Border Patrol. So we've offered for quite some time, fund everything else. Let's have the argument about ICE and Border Patrol. That's what the Senate did in a unanimous bipartisan vote, by the way. Every single Republican agreed to it as well that would have funded TSA right now. Mike Johnson refused to even allow a vote on that. Instead, he's voting on what is essentially the same thing that the House has voted on twice before over the course of the last month and a half, sent to the Senate, and the Senate has been unable to pass. So we had a path right in front of us. Just all the House has to do, bring it up. Republicans would have voted for that. It would be off to the president, and TSA would be being funded within hours. The Republicans chose not to do that.
Well, Congressman, the president has ordered via an executive order for TSA workers to be paid as early as Monday. Do you support not only that decision, but also the path that he is choosing to get to that decision?
Well, I support getting TSA agents paid, to be sure. Now, as I said, we have a perfectly legal option right here in front of us in the House. The problem with what President Trump is doing is twofold. Number one, it's illegal. He can't simply decide to spend money without congressional approval. Now, he's done that dozens of times in the last 14 months. The courts frequently strike down that spending as being illegal as it is. So that's a problem. And the other problem is, how dependable are these funds? I confess I have not seen the math in terms of how much money we're talking about here. So those are the two problems. And again, easy solution in front of us. What the Republicans are really doing is they're trying to leverage TSA to try to keep their border enforcement and immigration enforcement unchanged. The two should not be related. Speaker Johnson is relating them, and that's hurting airports and certainly hurting TSA agents, the Coast Guard, FEMA, and a number of other parts of our budget.
I want to turn to the war in Iran, Congressman, because we have learned that at least 10